Welcome, everyone. We're going to draw some flowers today. So let's start with the vase. You can vary this vase a little bit if you like. I found this to be a pleasing shape for our vase. And this is in ceramics what they call the footing. And let's have some leaves coming up out of this. That's how we'll start this drawing. I have another one over here. You don't want them to be all uniformed. And for the flowers, I am just going to use some just circular kind of shapes overlapping. Here's one coming out in a stem. There's always one in the crowd and needs to be noticed. More leaves coming out. The leaves really offset and help create opportunities for different colors and values, even if you're going for black and white. So I'm just going to use cross-hatching to darken the leaves, but I'm going to use squiggly lines for the flowers. And if you want to create your own flowers, real flowers, roses, tulips, please feel free to do so. I just thought that the simple kind of circular shaped flowers keeps it a little simple. So that these two don't blend too closely together so that we see that they're separate leaves, I'm going to darken this one so that you can see they're two separate individual leaves. Fill this in as if. Now you can go with any color scheme you like with these flowers. And when you get to the watercolor, may I suggest you try wet on wet. So wet this area, add a color. Wet this area, add a color. Let it dry. Wet this color, add color, let it dry, and then finally here. So where I use cross-hatching for the leaves, I'm going to use a squiggly line. This kind of gives our flower a little bit of texture, almost like petals, but not really, but they're convincing as flowers. We don't want the flowers to blend together either, so I'm using kind of a darker squiggly line so that this one, here it's a little darker, there I'll make it a little lighter. These are a really popular subject matter for a lot of artists doing still lifes with a vase full of flowers. Everybody loves flowers. In fact, I highly recommend anytime you go to someone's house for dinner or just to say hello, bring some flowers. People really find it very thoughtful. And you can just pick them right out of the yard. And it doesn't even have to be flowers. You could bring some herbs. If you have some rosemary growing, pluck that, bring it in. So there we got our flower vase. So now we're going to put in some design principles. Let's give this a stripe. Always bringing flowers to someone's house. It's just a classy thing to do. I kind of learned it from my mom. When I'd be visiting her in the summers in Chicago, we would go to my siblings' houses for dinner. And we would always stop and she would get flowers. And I said, well, why don't you just bring a pie or some cookies or something for dessert? And she said, you never know who's on a diet and who's trying to lose weight. And while they may love that pie or those cookies, you're also putting temptation right in front of them. So I'm going to say that my light source is coming directly at it. So that means the sides of this vase are going to have some formed shadows. And the base would be a little bit darker. I hope over the course of these 3D drawings you've kind of developed your own style of shading between cross-hatching and squiggly lines. It's a wonderful thing to do. Draw in your sketchbook. I really encourage you to hang on to your sketchbook, put it someplace so you don't throw it away, and you look back on it, and you're going to be really glad you did. You're going to see the progress. I see the progress you guys make in your sketchbooks and in your drawing. It's a skill. You just learn with practice, and it's fun. It's a fun thing to do. All right, so there's my vase. Notice I kept the center here a little bit lighter because if the light is hitting it, it might lighten it up a little bit. All right, I'm going to reflect this a little bit. It's not water, but nonetheless, highly polished wood or marble or all kinds of objects will reflect. So there's our vase kind of reflecting the surface. I'll use a horizon line here. And this is a design thing. I guess I could use better words than thing. Design element. This helps frame the flowers. Just draws your attention to the flowers, makes them the star of the show. So I'm using cross-hatching to fill this in. Also drawing with one of the cheapest ballpoint pens you can buy, a Bic ballpoint pen. I find them to be just wonderful drawing pens. They are not water soluble, which may be something you don't like, but they run forever. You can make light or dark lines with them. This one's going to be a little bit thicker. This relatively dark. It gives you also, not only does it frame the flowers, these two bars, it gives you an opportunity to possibly match the bar color with the stripe. It's a composition, and by composition, composition refers to why you put shapes and objects on the picture plane where you do. So my composition, I could have the flowers over to the side, but I put them in the center, making it a symmetrical picture. But I could have had an interesting composition with it off to the right or to the left, asymmetrical. School year is really winding down, but you're walking away from this class having picked up some real drawing skills, and I can see it. I see it every week when you show me your 3D drawings. You're just getting better and better and better. And I personally am really glad I can draw. Always can improve. And there we have it. Flowers. Thank you, everyone.